Hey there, if you've ever wondered what Overwatch runs like on the AMD 780M integrated graphics, well, this is it right here. Let me show you the graphics settings that we're using. So I disabled the dynamic resolution scaling and I disabled the maximum FPS, and pretty much everything is running on low except for the textures. No upscaling is really set to anything right now. We will try FSR later on, but right now we're just going to try it like this at the native 1080p resolution. And we get very rock solid performance with these graphics settings. It pretty much is the most ideal. You're able to use a high refresh rate display like this, and visually speaking, while it doesn't look spectacular, the art style of the game lends itself better to these lower settings, and the fact that we're not using FSR in an aggressive setting or anything like that does help us avoid the extreme fuzziness that you see on these lower quality FSR implementations, because FSR 2 really looks brutal by today's standards. If you use DLSS and FSR 4 enough, you start to already not like what FSR 3 looks like. You go back to FSR 1 and FSR 2 and it looks disastrous. And it's not to say that it's not great that those things exist, right? I do think that it's awesome that we have those as options for ultra budget gamers, but you do want to avoid using those whenever you can, really. But in terms of the overall playability like this, you're gonna have no problems whatsoever. I don't think we should be surprised that a 10-year-old game is performing this well, but if you play enough titles, you'll start to realize that age does not really mean anything. You can have titles that are extremely old that just do not play well in hardware like this, but luckily, because of the nature of Overwatch, you know, being essentially like an esports title, it is designed to run on pretty much anything, and I think that this is accomplishing that. I did also enable the dynamic resolution scaling with a target FPS of 144, since that's pretty much the maximum that this display will allow, just to see if we could get a boost in our 1% lows and our FPS average, and it really didn't seem to make much of a difference at all. It really was map dependent. This was the map that I played where it showed the biggest difference, but even then, it's a minor boost to the 1% lows, and the FPS average kind of just didn't really see all that much of a difference. Again, it was very map dependent, but there was no real differences overall in maps. Like, I wouldn't say that there were any maps in the game where I thought, oh, this is a map where it's going to destroy your FPS. If it runs well on one map, it'll pretty much run well on all of them. But I really don't think that there's any necessity to turn on the dynamic resolution scaling unless you're very worried about potentially having some issues in your 1% lows, because that did have the biggest uplift. But while playing the game, I didn't feel like there was any kind of drastic difference. Like, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. That said, I don't think that visually speaking it completely ruined the game, but there's definitely a more fuzzy look to the game because of it. It really comes down to personal preference, what you want. Personally, I think I'd have to play on here longer to really make a judgment call on that, because right now I just want to disable it, right? But if I was playing this every single day, I might at some point just be tempted to turn it on, and I'll kind of just deal with it, you know? So it really just comes down to how frequently do you play this and how much do you really care. And to be fair, that is the flexibility that FSR gives you, right? The fact that even at these lower quality settings, or these older implementations of it that just don't look as good, they do still give you the option to boost your performance if you're willing to make that visual sacrifice. Now, for me, that didn't really matter too much, in the sense that I was perfectly fine with the performance that I was getting without FSR. But again, if I was daily driving this and I was playing this every day, I might just be tempted to get the FPS boost. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one.